is Delegate Mary Washington.
Well, who are you? This is your
I am
first.
Hackman Hank.
This is your first podcast, right?
This is my first
one.
podcast. Yes.
Yeah, first Facebook Live.
Yes, first Facebook Live. I got the jitters. I'm here, all right.
That's all right.
I was running out the door,
Right.
and I had the camera in my hand, and I had your
Right.
French fries in the hand, and I stepped on my cord to my light, and I was like, "Oh my!" Right.
This is a great thing. I've never had a reporter or interviewer bring me truffle fries and Philly cheesesteak and a green pepper. Stuffed Philly cheesesteak. I'm looking forward.
Well,
to
my show
trying
is called Rolling Hunger.
Oh,
right. So I'm hungry for knowledge. I'm hungry for education,
right.
and I'm hungry for food.
Yeah.
Right. And great food, great restaurants. I like to know what's a great place. What if Mary Washington was out in Annapolis eating? Right.
Annapolis.
Where would Mary Washington go for a good meal, and what would it be?
Wow, I don't really go out a lot in Annapolis.
Okay, well if you were at home.
Because Terra Cafe.
Terra Cafe
is first.
Okay.
And then because
give it to Terra.
Yeah, I love Terra. I also.
Well, what do you like at Terra Cafe?
Well, first of all, I just love that it's a community-owned local business.
Okay.
And that they always have great events there.
Yes, they do. Yes,
right?
They do.
And their portions are just what you want when you're hungry. And the breakfast sandwiches are great.
Yes.
The cheese steak is great.
Hey,
everything is really good, and they're always nice.
Have you tried their potato salad with the sweet potatoes?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you gotta tell the twins to make you some.
Okay, all right.
See, and that's what I love about Tierra's Cafe, right? It's not only in the neighborhood, but they hire the neighborhood. Right. So I see the twins ride past me every day while I'm at my store. Hey, Hank, what you got there, Hank, man? You got any of them chili dogs ready? Yeah, I got some chili dogs. Well, you need to try this recipe right here. I'm gonna try that.
I like the fish sandwich. Like the fish is on the bread.
Yes.
And you put the hot sauce on.
Oh man.
And it's just that's what you need.
And that is so absolutely perfect.
So we have a lot of great businesses up and down there.
Yes, we do. Have you tried Taste This yet?
Which?
Across the street.
I tried, but when I'm gone, it wasn't open. But I'm really looking forward to it, so I should try it.
Oh man, they got. Now see, I like macaroni and cheese,
I do, right?
But I don't like all of the macaroni and cheese.
Right.
What I like is the corners and the burnt ends.
Yes, and the burnt top.
Yeah, and the burnt top.
Just a
little crunch.
Just enough.
Just a little crunch. Like most of the noodle is nice and chewy.
Right.
But that one piece is you got a little crunch on it. Oh, but they do some nice mac and cheese. Sweet potatoes are nice also.
Okay.
Right.
Now does the mac and cheese have hunks of cheese and
eggs
eggs like your grandmother?
Yes.
Where you can see the egg, you can see the cheese.
You can. I tend to love this cheese. I tend to love this mac and cheese, right?
All right, I'll try.
And I'm really into it. And I get it with the turkey wings, and the turkey wings are done over a yellow rice.
Oh wow.
Yes, they do it over a nice rice pilaf.
Wow.
So it is. I mean, like, whoa.
Well, that's next.
But
then.
if you want to know my absolute favorite in Baltimore, it would be a spot called Halal's, right? It's on Park Heights in Quantico.
Okay.
Right now, I'm 50 years old, right? So this restaurant is every bit of 47 or 46 years old, right? Owned by the same family, right? And when I go in there, I get the fish egg omelet. Something wrong? When I go in, I get the fish egg omelet, right? What they do is they drop the fish into a batter, and then they drop it into the deep fryer, and they deep fry it.
Right.
Then they pull it out, they chop it up with green peppers and onions.
Right.
And then they add the eggs into it with the peppers and all of that stuff.
Right.
And from that point on, it's like, whoa.
Wow. No,
right?
I've never had anything like that.
They give me the hard, crispy part of the egg, right?
Right.
'Cause I tell them, why you throwing my burnt part away?
Right.
Right, if I was home, I'd be eating that burnt part of the egg.
Right.
Look, man. So they know, and you get that with an order of fish and chips.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
And their fish and chips are like perfect size. Right? Like when you go in, if you get a piece of fish, you get a chip.
Right.
If you get a chip, you get a fish, because I put cheese on it with special sauce.
Wow.
So that's what I have. That's what I get. Right? But let's talk.
Okay.
Right? So I have a few questions to ask you.
Okay.
Who is Delegate Mary Washington?
Oh. Who is Delegate Mary Washington?
Yes, ma'am.
I represent the 43rd District.
Okay.
And I am a person that, Delegate Mary Washington represents the people from the 43rd District in Annapolis.
Yes, ma'am.
Delegate Mary Washington goes to community meetings. Delegate Mary Washington drives when I'm driving around. If I notice a light is out, I call the city council person, and together we work together.
Yes.
Delegate Mary Washington looks for opportunities to find things for young people to do. Delegate Mary Washington, when someone is misrepresenting Baltimore City, or if there's something we need, I come to our defense.
Yes, I've seen that.
But sometimes when we're wrong and we can do better, I'm not afraid to call it out, because that's the important
It's fair
thing.
and balanced. Fair and balanced,
I try to be
right.
fair and balanced.
It builds a great repertoire.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
So somebody wants to talk to you.
Okay, well, that's not going to happen today. Is that still running?
So also, I'm a neighbor. So Delegate Mary Washington is also a neighbor.
Yes, she is.
I live in Edna Gardens neighborhood. And,
Edna Gardens?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lakeside, Edna Gardens Lakeside.
Yes, ma'am.
I teach. I'm also a professor. I teach at
Maryland
Institute College of Art. You didn't know that.
You pulled something out of your
I
sleeve.
see. That's you have to keep it fresh.
See, that's what I wanted to know.
Yeah.
Now, the next question is,
All right.
how did Delegate Mary Washington become about?
The people of the 43rd District elected me in 2010.
Yes.
And I was, at the time, I'd been a community association president. I'd always tried to volunteer to get people involved in elections and things, but I wanted to be able to be in a position to actually draft legislation, to debate it on the floor, to bring people's voices that aren't typically brought to Annapolis.
Yeah.
I wanted to take all of the things out of the backroom deals, and the only way that I can get something done is through somebody else.
Yeah.
I know that as you have, the more power you have is to give it away, is to give it to the people.
To whom much is given, much is owed.
Right. So I felt like I could be a person that our community could trust, because I was connected. And so when I ran, I was elected. I ran for the first time. I wasn't successful, but then the second time I ran. And
Perseverance.
Then,
I love that.
And so for the last 8 years, I've been our state delegate.
Hey, and I've enjoyed your work in my district. Okay, question number 3, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to talk about food deserts.
Oh, right.
And urban farming.
Right.
What is your idea on food deserts and the lack of certain markets in the area due to the 4-mile radius ban?
You know what's interesting? I've been interested in this issue since I was about 10 years old. My father was going back to school to get his associate's degree. Mm-hmm. And I remember a paper that he wrote while he was in school. It was a sociology class.
Yes, ma'am.
And his paper was called Why Do the Poor Pay More? So this is back in like 1972. And he was talking about how the corner stores, while we had the corner stores, but the price of bread in the corner store was more because the people who didn't have cars or couldn't go outside to go to the county or drive to get food from a big supermarket. Yes. So the price of the food was even more. I didn't come back to that until I was a member of the Sustainability Commission, and we were looking at the idea that in certain communities there's no grocery store. Yes. In certain communities there's no place to get fresh fruit and vegetables. Right? Or if you get fruit and vegetables, the price is very high or the quality isn't as good.
Right.
And so when you look out throughout Baltimore City, there are certain parts of our communities, some of our communities that don't have access to that.
Right.
And so part of our responsibility, I think, as elected officials, as people that are interested in investing in our communities, is to make sure that people have access to that. And so identify, but one of the things you have to do before you can solve a problem is to identify a problem. So the concept of food desert is to give people an idea. What is a desert? You think of a desert as lacking something.
Yes.
It's not able to provide life. Okay. And so there are areas in the city that are deserts. So what does that mean? That means we need to find an oasis. We need to add something.
Speaking of oasis, so how are you on urban farming
so that's absolutely one of the things we can do. You know, I grew up with neighbors that had gardens in their backyards, and you know, we've just grown that up to encourage people to actually, you know, grow their own food. And we have a lot of vacant land, and so taking that vacant land and turning it into a place that could produce food.
I know a young guy, his name is Kevin, I forget what his last name is. His brother used to be a famous basketball player in the city. But he has a program called the Little Big Shots, where he has an urban garden down off of North Avenue. He's teaching the young men how to go out and plant and do agricultural work to see the growth in themselves. Right. I forget what his name is, but I know it's his brother used to own Legends restaurant and barbershop on Greymount Avenue. So I tend to love that, and I tend to love the urban garden. I'm in the urban garden and aquaponics myself, right?
What do you grow? What do you like to grow?
Oh, last year, in my backyard right now, I have a peach tree, I have an apple tree, I have a fig plant, I have a blueberry, a blackberry, and a date. I had corn, I had green peppers, red peppers, black peppers, ghost peppers, I had jalapenos, cantaloupe. Oh, I also had chickens. Right, so you can, in the city you can have up to a certain amount of chickens per yard, right? Which is a way for young men who in these lots could actually make a little bit of money, right? Because the fresh organic egg.
And also it's a way for us to be sustainable, a way for us to feed ourselves, a way for people to be dependent on each other, you know, and provide for each other. I'm on the board of the Parks and People Foundation, and and that's something that setting up community gardens across the city. But also there are a lot of people that have just been doing that without an organization, without any credit, without any support. So one of the things that the city has done and that the state, I believe, could do more of is to provide support for people who want to start to take vacant land that maybe right now is being used for illegal dumping or is being used for various bad activities, and to like create gardens like we have we have one in Waverly. We have a lot of them in Waverly.
Yes, we do. Question number 4. We just did question number 4 with the food deserts and the urban gardens. Question number 5 is the accountability on. Wait a minute. Is there anything that Delegate Mike Washington would like to get accomplished?
Oh yeah, I have a whole right here. Lots of my bills.
This is the to-do list.
These are my bills that I'm working on, and so there are 11 different bills. And so for the 90 days, my number 1 priority is the Education Trust Fund and restoring the trust in the Education Trust Fund and making sure that the gambling money that people voted for is in addition to regular funding. And
which leads into, that was actually, I believe, question number 8 with taxes, tips, and how our money that we give up for taxes and tips is so closely attached to educational dollars and park and recreational dollars, and the fund is supposed to come back in from Maryland Stadium Authority.
It's amazing. So the way that we fund our education formula changed around in 2002 to really account for the fact that some jurisdictions are less wealthy than others. So there's a part of the funding that if you're poor and you don't collect as much property taxes, so that means you really can't contribute to your system. So it's not just us, it's Allegheny County, it's Wacomico County, it's Somerset County, and Dorchester. The poorest, well, the ones of us who have lower income and also have lower property taxes. So if your property taxes are lower, it's assumed you can't give into your system. So the state accounts for that, and that's right. That's important. Those that can should support and be a part, because we're one Maryland. So what happens is the way you calculate that is the value of the property taxes. So what these TIFs do is that they inflate the value of the property taxes. So while a development hasn't actually happened, tax it, or you say that its value is worth more than what it really is. And so then that increases the wealth factor.
Yeah.
Additionally, believe it or not, Baltimore is becoming a little more wealthy. We still have some of the lowest median, but there are people making a little bit more. So the way it's set up is that it's not, say for example, if I was making $200 a year and somebody else was making $500 a year.
Yes, ma'am.
We're under the formula, the original formula, I'd be given a little more, right? So every year it shows that I'm making less than this person over here.
Yeah.
Well, maybe there's a situation where maybe I get a little part-time job and I start making $350 a year, right?
Yes,
or maybe $300 a year. So, but then relative to this other person, maybe they got their hours cut a little bit, so now they're making $400 a year.
Yeah.
So they're still making more than me, but their income dropped. So they're gonna get a little more because their income dropped, and I get less because my income rose a little bit. So that's why we have to change the formula. But those TIFs, we're not actually getting the money. It's sort of the promise of the value, and so that's why. So it messes the formula and it makes us appear wealthier than we are, and so that little factor means that we get less. We get less.
So,
Baltimore City gets less than some other jurisdictions.
And how does that affect the bay and the waterways?
Oh boy, how does that affect the bay and the waterways? Well, overall, I'd have to think about that. Can you ask me?
Well, I can ask you. Okay, well, like, you tend to have everything that's based at the harbor.
Okay.
Right?
Oh, I see.
And then you have all of this pollution that's coming into the harbor.
I got you.
Right? Which our tax dollars could be doing a better thing of cleaning up, placing oysters, mussels, and clams in the harbor to clean up the harbor, as opposed to the money that we don't have because we have the stadium, we have Sagamore, the winery down there. We don't have the Home Depot, the Walmart down there with Sands that's creating jobs anymore.
So,
not to say that I don't like what Kevin Frank is doing for our city.
I hear you. So what you're saying is that there's money that we're spending to incentivize business development.
Right.
That maybe, in addition to doing that, it's taking away from other smaller businesses.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. So, now, question number 8, right? We're talking about the closing of certain schools. Right? And relocation and the busing of schools. Now, it's been going on. I'm 50. So I've been we don't have enough children in this school, so you got to go to this school, and I've been in the portables and all of that, right? But at what point in time do we say, okay, we don't have enough children in this school system right now, but we can't actually shut down the school because we still have enough students here who actually walk to this school.
Right, I know. The importance of community schools, local schools,
the little feet walking.
is so important, and then trying to figure out what's the risk of closing down. Like, we do have to right size the system, but there are schools that are doing really well. They're contributing to the community. So it shouldn't just be a numbers game. It should be quality as well as quantity. So there are some that maybe need to be combined, but if you're not providing transportation, if you're not providing a good transition, then we're just potentially disrupting legacies and decades of community involvement and further disenfranchising children. So yes, we have to be very careful when we're closing school. Well, the city has to be very careful, and they have to look at quality, not just quantity.
Okay, quality and quantity. I love that. What other question? Your proposals for citizens re-entering to system and educating them and giving them an opportunity to get out and either be self-employed or find employment where they're not necessarily restrained by the employer, such as the check the box issue.
Yeah, I support ban the box. I've always supported that legislation. But let me show you one of my bills right here. Women's pre-release program. We haven't gotten the final bill back yet, but this bill is to make sure that the pre-release work release opportunities for women are the same as men. So some
Nice.
some
Which I
formerly
don't see that
incarcerated
much.
women advocates came to me who are advocates
Yes.
out for justice. They came out and talked with me and showed me the research that they did
Yes.
themselves, and showing the opportunities that are afforded men, and then the opportunities that are afforded the women at Jessup, and they're not the same. They're drastically restricted. So given that there's so many female-headed households in Baltimore, given that we have to support both men and women, we should be giving the same opportunities. So this legislation is saying, look, you should provide the same opportunities to
Number
women
8, y'all.
to
Women pre-release. Let's get on top of this.
So as soon as I'll let you know, as soon as I get a bill number, that's something we really have to push, or at
Okay.
least ask questions about.
Okay, now let's see. We got the closings of schools. We got the felony project. We got education, parks, and recreation. I happen to notice that we're doing a lot of work in our reservoirs, in the parks
Yes,
now.
yeah.
We're remodeling them, right?
Yes, yes.
It's not your thing to notice, right? But did you happen to
Oh, I
notice
know.
that there's not too many, like, inner city companies doing the work?
Right, yes. So
Right.
we absolutely need to look at procurement and who's doing these large contracts. We can't simply say, okay, this is the lowest bidder.
Yeah.
We have to make sure women, minority businesses, majority businesses, not just a business that is 51%, but how a business that
Yes,
is
ma'am.
fully wholly owned and operating in Baltimore and has a history of doing this type of work, who are more likely to hire people from
Yes.
our community. So, yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm on question number 9, right?
Yeah.
So, when Delegate
Number
Mary
9.
Washington has a bad day in Annapolis, right?
Okay.
What's the meal she runs for?
Oh, my goodness. Well, you talked about macaroni and cheese, but I don't have that here.
Right.
But
So
when
if
I'm
you were
having
having a bad day, what would you have?
Wow. Oh, ice cream.
Ice cream.
Yes.
Any
So,
particular kind?
butter pecan ice cream. I grew up on butter pecan ice cream,
Oh, my mom's favorite.
and that's what I would have.
Okay.
And if I were, where I grew up, and you had some golden ginger ale.
Oh man! Oh man! Hey, look,
That would be
don't
the
let me
golden
think about
ginger
my
ale.
grandfather.
Golden ginger ale.
Yes.
And some ice cream on top of like any kind of cake, like
Yes.
some kind of
Miss Mary
chocolate cake.
Washington, here's a little story about me. I have actually been old enough to have actually had a real soda on Caroline and Preston Street at the pharmacy. And when I say
Oh.
real soda, right,
Right.
I mean where they pour the syrup in,
Yeah, yeah.
then they hit the little salsa water,
Yeah.
they shake it up,
Yes.
and then they drop the ice cream in.
Yeah.
Right, so
That's
I've
the way
actually
you're
had
supposed
a
to make
real
it.
soda,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And I tell everybody about that all the time. People are like, what's a real soda? I get a bottle of soda all the time.
No.
That's not a real soda.
Because that's an experience.
Yeah.
I mean, what you're talking about is an experience. You
It's-
see
yes.
it, and it takes skill, because not everybody knew how to put the right amount
And
of
that's
syrup
why they call
in.
him a jerk.
Yeah. Ah.
See, the soda jerk.
Ah. Because you gotta
gotta jerk
that.
the soda in the drink. So that's the mixologist used to be called the jerk.
Okay.
Right? I watch a lot of infotainment. I
Right.
watch a lot of television that entertains me, but it informs me.
Right.
So I'm into infotainment
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
time,
yeah.
such as this show here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm
It'll mix it up.
informing you, but I'm entertaining.
Yeah. Right.
Right?
This is good.
So,
Number
soda,
10.
ice cream.
Oh,
Number
ice
10.
cream. Yes,
Yes.
ice cream.
Number 10. When having a great day in Annapolis, what is the food that Mary Washington runs for?
Oh, when I'm having a great day. Wow. When I'm having a great day, I'm usually not thinking about going to get some food.
Yeah.
But when I want to, I just enjoy myself in Annapolis. See, it's just I don't have the same
Well,
restriction.
if
But believe it or not, I really enjoy like grilled shrimp
Okay.
on like with some nice lettuce, like Caesar salad, and then maybe a little bit of fries.
Okay.
So that's a nice treat.
We're gonna change your treat up a little bit. Now my
Okay.
heart burnt down over the week.
Oh,
Right. Peter's in right?
Yes, yes.
The shrimp and grits there.
You're right.
The shrimp and grits there are
is life.
So magnifique.
Yes, it is.
Right.
It is.
So I can't wait for Peter Zen to be coming back.
Okay.
Yes, they gotta come back.
I love it because they just got a few tables
and it's so
intimate,
quaint,
and
romantic, and
it's
intimate.
great.
Yes.
I haven't been there in years, but yes.
Oh man. So we're gonna have to go there and have shrimp and grits one day, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, as soon as they open, soon as Peter Zen opens back up, we have to go for shrimp and grits.
Yes.
Yes. We're advocating the reopening of Peter Zen. In case you don't know, that's on Ann and Fleet down in Fells Point. Right around the corner from Hungry Annie's, where they're not open on Tuesdays for your Philly cheesesteak hoagie.
Yeah. But wait a minute. What about Flight? Come on, we can't.
Flight is cool.
We have to talk about Flight and the jerk chicken there and all this. It's right there on York Road. I mean, I appreciate other parts of the city, but I represent the 43rd. That's our district. So we have some of the best places up and down Green Avenue.
Right?
So we can start at North Avenue, work our way up.
We're going to battle off on the jerk, right? Because see, my man is right down the street, right?
Okay.
Home of the $5 special.
I think you're right.
Max's, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I started over West Baltimore with this man. He moved all the way over East Baltimore because I was hungry.
I'll try that.
So you have to try a Max's Caribbean jerk. But I'm going to go up to Flight.
Yes.
Right? Matter of fact, I'm going up to Flight tonight.
Yes, go check him out.
Hungry Annie's for a nice chicken chili Philly cheesesteak though.
Okay.
Right? But they're not open on Tuesdays.
You have to have a Philly cheesesteak
in
Philly. I will have them. I have good things, but I've made them. I had a job when I was 16. I worked in the corner deli, and my job, I made cheesesteaks, and there's just a certain way that you make it. You gotta cut it just right. You have to fry the onions, and the thing is, what you have to do is you put the cheese on top of the meat while it's still on the grill.
Yes.
Then you put the fried onions on top of the cheese, right?
Yes.
And maybe just before that you mixed in a little bit of the onion, but not all of the onion. Now if it's a cheesesteak hoagie, then you make sure that you put the mayonnaise on, you put it in the roll, you put the lettuce and tomato, and you have to do it just right, and bam, on top that way.
So
you don't put the lettuce and tomato on top. That's wrong.
Yeah. So where am I getting this from? Where am I getting this from? If I go to Philly right now, where am I going at?
You could go to 40th and Baltimore Avenue.
Atlas?
You could go anywhere up and down Lancaster and 38th, or Lancaster and 52nd, or any corner.
My son's grandmother lived on Nelson or whatever it is, right around the corner from Atlas on Baltimore and 52nd.
That works.
Right. So whenever I come into town with them, I drop them off. Where you going? I'm gonna go park the car.
52nd and
Well, bring us back a sandwich.
52nd and Walnut.
52nd and Walnut.
That's
it. That's it.
That's it. The thing on the corner. That's where
right
you
there
go.
on the corner, man.
Yes.
Oh my, that's
See, I know.
Hey, we know where good Philly steak is. But look, my friend who was working at the wine and beer bistro down on Penn Street got a little freaky with you.
Oh no. What did he do with his?
So what he did was he made a Philly cheesesteak. Right. His name is Vito.
Okay.
And as soon as he gets back in the new spot, I'm gonna tell you.
Right, I'll check it
but
out.
he took a Philly cheesesteak and made it and called it a Fillmore.
I want to hear. I'm
okay,
ready.
so what he did with that Philly cheesesteak, right, was he took a whole lump crab cake, flattened it out, set it on top of a Philly cheesesteak over top of a brioche bun with garlic truffle fries.
Oh my God.
Oh my.
That sounds right.
Oh, it was so
perfect.
wonderful.
See, I can accept that because it's not trying to be a Philly steak.
No.
It's not trying, and that's what's great about Baltimore is that we do that. We bring everybody together, make up something new, and it's great. I love that.
Hey, but as long as don't nobody try to take our chicken boxes, we good.
No, you can't. No.
Y'all can imitate our crab cakes all y'all want. But our chicken boxes and half and halves, we gotta keep.
No, it is good. It's good.
So,
this has been great.
This has been great, Miss Mary Washington.
Thank you so much.
As I like to leave out, Miss Mary Washington, I like to say this to young people, right?
Yes, we're going to say it to them.
Commit random acts of kindness.
Yes. And register to vote.
Register. Oh, yeah. That's what I.
No matter who you vote for,
what are
you
we
need
doing
to
about
register to vote.
What are we doing about getting people out to register to vote?
doing programs like this, talking to people. We have to give people something to vote for.
Okay.
I think a lot of times what happens in politics is we talk about what you're against. They want you
Right.
to talk negatively about, everyone who's running for the office. Everybody who's running is running, but it's up to the voters to decide who they think
And
is
that
best
be
capable.
informative by reading
Right.
what they did.
Reading, talking, knocking on doors, talking to people and finding
Yes.
out what they're about. Not just what we say we do, but what are we actually doing.
Right.
And that's where the accountability comes in.
Oh.
If I'm telling you what I'm doing,
Okay.
then you hold me accountable.
When is the
The
primary?
primary is June 26th, and
June
early
26th.
voting starts June 14th.
Okay. So June 26th is the primary. Early voting starts when? Once again?
June 14th.
June 14th.
Yeah.
And you can start registering to vote now.
Yeah.
Me and Mary Washington are going to get together at some point in time, and we're going to have a voters registration
Oh, that's
in front of my building at 2601 Greenmount Avenue.
perfect.
If at all she is possible, whenever she's available, that's what we're going to do.
That
We're
sounds
going to
good.
sign you up to vote, and I am going to see if I can find someone who can do expungements for those who have felons to get their records expunged.
Absolutely. There's
Right?
lots of organizations that
Yes.
do that. We'll make that connection, make it happen. It's
Hey,
important.
and now, so once
One
again,
more thing.
random acts of kindness. Call someone you haven't talked to in a while, let them know you're thinking about them, you love them. Watch what we say and do around our children, ladies and gentlemen. It is completely food.
Yes.
We are feeding them knowledge by what we do and say each and every day. I love y'all. Have a blessed day.